Morgan Parker is a man on a mission to ride his motorcycle from Hong Kong to Brisbane, Australia on a voyage that will see him travel through 10 countries and in the process raise awareness about 10 of the most important charities across the region. It's an adventure that'll test his limits during a trip that'll be exciting, dangerous, eye-opening and always breathtaking. Join him each week as he travels wheel to wheel. With an irate fixer on his tail, we join Morgan as he attempts to head into Thailand one day early on his way to Bằng, a homestay orphanage for HIV-infected children.
Hello Morgan, nice to see you.
Great to see you.
Hi Jennifer,
how are you? Nice to meet you. Good to see you.
After an enlightening but heartbreaking visit with New Hope in Siem Reap, it was time to head to Thailand and our 6th charity, Bằng. Unfortunately, I'm forced to alter my route to the Thai border. Why? The tour guide turned stalker from Vietnam was still on my trail. Using the satellite transmitter to track me across 3 countries over 2 weeks, it was time to shake this unscrupulous guy off once and for all. I went dark and with my family in a support car headed to an alternate border gate. What a thrilling and unexpected adventure this had become for all of us.
Well, I'm now in Thailand for the 2nd time on the expedition, and just like the last time, coming through the border was an absolute delight. This time from Cambodia, a real pleasure. In fact, it cost me nothing. The whole process only took about 25 minutes.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, thank you.
Arriving in Pattaya brought a welcome rendezvous with my wheel-to-wheel colleague and friend, LIριο, who would be joining me for the next few weeks along with his family. After resting, we awoke to a classic Thailand blue sky.
And we're taking this old trawler out across the choppy seas. So see what adventure lies ahead.
Minutes later, Aria and I were flying high above the Gulf of Thailand. What a contrast to the view I'd become accustomed to riding my bike.
We're going down.
Woo! Back on land, Thailand's annual Songkran festival was underway, and we were about to get absolutely soaked on the streets of Pattaya. Songkran is Thailand's New Year. During the 3-day holiday, people everywhere wash away bad luck by dousing water and even powder on everyone they see. I got drenched numerous times, but it was all good fun and definitely beats counting down the clock. And given that it was a holiday, I got into the act by exchanging 2 wheels for 4 on go-karts. One thing we continued to deal with in Thailand was the heat, whether it was the spicy food we ate or the weather. Weather, it's 38 degrees here in Thailand. Very, very hot, very dry out here. Over the last several days, Thailand has been experiencing somewhat of a heat wave. Finally, we arrived in Bangkok. Always a pleasure to visit, and outside of Hong Kong, it's the most convenient city I've visited to date. Then again, there was always the notorious traffic to contend with. But we didn't mind, because we were on our way to meet friends, and above all, eat.
Thailand, of course, is also famed for its cuisine, and I was very much looking forward to getting into Thailand. Not that I hadn't had good food in Cambodia and Laos and Vietnam and China before that, but I hadn't had really great food, and I was always looking forward to getting to a big city like Bangkok and enjoying some of the local Thai cuisine, which we did, and it was absolutely fabulous to get some sustenance, because by the time I arrived in Thailand, I'd lost 7 kilograms.
It was a bright, hot day in Bangkok, and one that I'd been waiting for. Together with a few friends, we would make the all-important trip from Bangkok to Lopburi to visit Bangurda. Bangurda is the homestay orphanage for HIV-infected children that LIωρίU is supporting in Thailand.
Hi, I'm Greg Jones, and I'm actually in the shopping center development business.
Yeah, hi, my name's Greg White. Been living here in Thailand for the last 10 years.
I'm Dick Shelley. I'm a power station manager.
I'm Kirk Nell. I've been in Bangkok 15 years, age of 25.
And kindly leading us out through the spaghetti-like highways would be long-time Thailand resident Derek Van Pelt, who is a big supporter of LIωρίU and a massive motorcycle enthusiast.
Came to Thailand in '97, and right now I've set up Siam Wheels Company, which is like a motorcycle ownership club for people that come to Thailand frequently or are here for short-term periods.
And with the engines roaring, we were off to Bangurda. It felt good having friends to ride with and help spread the word about the charity's work. While enjoying the ride up, I was bracing myself for what to expect on this visit. Bangurda is home to 86 children who have tragically lost one or both parents to AIDS and been abandoned by their communities. Here, 200 kilometres north of Bangkok, they have found a new home. Living as a community of foster families, the children are provided with medicine, housing, food, clothing and education. But most of all, the love, respect and care of a family environment.
Hello! Hi! Hi!
That's right.
Yeah, good ride.
Arriving at Bangurda, seeing the children, I could immediately sense this was going to be a life-changing experience.
Such a beautiful setting. Beautiful smiling faces of these kids. Incredible. It's only just hitting me now that these kids actually have HIV or AIDS.
And when LIωρίU returns, I'll learn just how little I know about HIV. They sing, dance, play music, and even farm. Impressive kids, and completely normal to interact with. And yet, they're infected. Infected by a virus that is more stigma than physical. This is the story of Bangurda and the children who live here.
In Bangurda, I saw an article in the newspaper about a child who was AIDS sick and just about to die. And the article said, don't worry, I won't be here long. And of course I read the article. This was very touching. And before I made schools at the border of Thailand, yeah, for children with no school. And then I said, okay, I leave that, and I change to HIV infected children. So that was 13 years ago when I started thinking about helping infected children.
Karl Morsbach is an inspiration. He left Germany for Thailand 40 years ago as a business executive. In parallel with his professional career, he helped Cambodian refugees who were escaping the Pol Pot regime by building schools on the Thai-Burma border. Carl then turned his attention to HIV-infected children. The first home at Bangurta was completed in 2001. Since then, several homes, an infirmary, a guest house, and an activities building have been built. It's within this compound the kids mature into well-adjusted, constructive members of the community. The creative environment encourages all sorts of learning, and we gladly joined in.
Nobody dared actually to touch these children, to care for these children. So then my wife and people said, let's do that. We try to give these children a nice memory of life before they go. That's how Bangurta started. And very soon after, the first medicine became available, and we decided to give medicine to the children. So our children did not die anymore. It was no place for dying. It was a place all of a sudden for living.
And live, they certainly do. With the odds against them from the start, the community that Carl has created is filled with love and compassion. So they swim, paint, play guitar, and even learn vocational skills so that they can better themselves for the future.
ชอบอะไรที่บ้านแกด้าลูก
ก็บ้านแกด้าให้ความสุขแก่ผมก็ชอบทุกคนครับ
เพราะว่ามีสนามเด็กเล่นให้เล่นแล้วก็มีอาหารให้รับประทานครับแล้วก็มีทุกคนที่รักเราที่นี่ก็เหมือนบ้านหลังหนึ่งที่ไม่มีบ้านหลังไหนเลยครับไม่มีที่ไหน
มีเพื่อนเยอะค่ะ
มีเพื่อนเล่นเยอะแยะครับทำให้เรารู้จักกันหลายๆคนครับ
เพราะว่าบ้านแกด้าช่วยชีวิตหนูไว้
มีความรู้สึกยังไงกับผู้คนภายนอกที่เขาเห็นผู้ติดเชื้อเมื่อ10 ปีที่แล้วกับตอนนี้
ก็รู้สึกว่าเขามีความรู้สึกว่าให้โอกาสกับผู้ติดเชื้อมากขึ้นมองผู้ติดเชื้อเป็นคนปกติมากขึ้นแต่ว่าถ้าสำหรับลียังไม่รู้สึกว่ายังน้อยอยู่คือมีมากขึ้นแต่ว่ายังไม่มากพอที่จะสามารถให้เด็กเหล่านี้กลับไปอยู่ในสังคมอย่างคนปกติค่ะ
Are there examples here where a child has come in and you've been able to send them out into the community, for want of a better term?
Well, yeah, there are some children have gone back to the community, the same community which expelled them before 10 years ago.
Is now receiving them back.
Now receiving them back.
Oh, that must make you feel good.
Beautiful, beautiful. So we love it.
The thing that's blown me away is just the children, just how fit, active, vibrant, just smiling, full of life they are. And it's so uplifting, you know.
If you weren't told they were HIV positive, you'd have no idea.
On our second day, we saw that being HIV positive has become little more than an inconvenience for these children as they take their twice daily dose of medication to keep the virus at bay.
So provided the child is receiving the correct dosage and correct frequency of medication, is it possible to live a full life with HIV?
Well, yes, it's possible. Being HIV infected, that doesn't mean you are sick. If you have AIDS, you are sick. But with the mere HIV infection, you are not sick. And the child will grow up just as normal as other children also grow up.
Being here at Bangurta, these children are the fortunate ones.
In the northern part of Thailand is the one is most hit by HIV, and I think the situation there is that even though they lost their parents, the grandparents or relatives are still taking care of a child. So if we can help the families to be able to support the child, for example, provide medicine, provide some support, or help, any help that is needed for the family to still taking care of the baby or the child when they grow up is the best situation that I would like to see.
As this clip from the documentary Living with the Tiger shows, despite the skills and healthy self-image Bangurta instills in them, these young adults are often still stigmatized by society at large, making their future a challenging and uncertain one.
ก็ทำไม่ได้เขาต้องเสือเลือดอีกเป็นหมอไม่ได้เห็นไหมไม่ใช่งานแบบธรรมดาที่เขาไม่ตรวจงานใหญ่ๆที่ทำไม่ได้หมด
ก็ได้งานในบริษัทใหญ่บริษัทหนึ่งของประเทศเนี่ยค่ะก็สอบทุกอย่างผ่านแล้วก็นัดวันเริ่มงานเขาก็จะมีนัดให้ไปตรวจสุขภาพก่อนเริ่มทำงานมันก็จะมีตัวหนึ่งให้ตรวจ HIV ซึ่งก็ไม่ได้คิดว่าตัวเองจะเป็นเพราะว่าเราก็มีแฟนคนเดียวแล้วแฟนเราก็เป็นคนดีแล้วเรากำลังจะแต่งงานกันในปลายปีนั้นพอดีก็ตรวจแต่ว่าพอผลออกมาเนี่ยมันเป็นบวกแล้วก็ชีวิตก็พังณวินาทีนั้นคือหมอก็ปั๊มตัวแดงในใบตรวจเลือดเลยว่า HIV positive งานนั้นเราก็ต้องแคนเซิลเขาเพราะว่าเราไม่สามารถส่งผลตรวจเลือดได้แล้วก็ไม่กล้าบอกใครว่าตัวเองติดเชื้อ
The longer-term objective for Bangurta, is it to have more kids? Is it to be able to give them more facilities? What lies ahead?
What lies ahead is to take care of the future of these kids whom we are having.
The children you have now?
We have 86. Yeah. We have right. 86 children. And
just
imagine you have 86 children.
Oh yeah. I know what it's like to have one. And it's expensive.
It may seem strange to say the children at Bangurta are lucky, but they are. Lucky to be here in this positive family environment where they are not orphans with HIV, but simply kids facing the normal trials and tribulations of childhood and adolescence. Here, the illness has been dealt with. It's beyond the boundaries of Bangurta's green fields that the true problem lies. As we prepared to depart, every one of us felt both humbled and inspired by what we'd witnessed.
Carl, I know you're the reluctant hero, but what you've done here at Bangurta is nothing short of spectacular. I want to congratulate you and thank you for having us. What I've learned in the last couple of days of being here is that HIV-infected children are completely ordinary. These guys are just the most wonderful bunch of kids. I don't see sickness, I don't feel fragility here. All I see is well-adjusted, athletic, healthy children getting an amazing education. So thank you very much for doing what you do.
Okay,
and keep doing it.
Thank you very much for coming. Thank you very much for interest, and well, we keep doing it. Yeah,
all the best. Bye. On our way back from Bangurta to Bangkok, and it's times like these where I sit back and reflect on the charity that I've just visited. The expedition's providing me with so many opportunities to compare and contrast the different work of these philanthropic organisations throughout Asia. Bangurta, where we've just left, is one of the special ones. So simple, dealing with an issue that is ever present throughout the world, HIV/AIDS. The children that we got to spend 2 days with blew us all away. It's the only time my daughter has actually cried in visiting a charity. That's the sort of impact that meeting just completely normal kids have. You know on the inside they're ravaged by this disease, but because of the care they're receiving from Bangurta, they're living completely normal lives. It's us that needs to get with the program and get over the fact that they've got HIV/AIDS. They are absolutely normal, strong, healthy kids, capable of doing many things in this world in the future.
Once back in Bangkok, there was one more important thing to do for Bangurta. I was to pick up a major donation from a local shopping centre developer. Little did I know that Wheel to Wheel was big news. inspired by the work that charities are doing right throughout Southeast Asia.
An adventure travel program, but with a very strong message for every country where we focus on a charity.
Thank you very much for the very generous donation which will be allocated to Bangurda.
But if the expedition was to continue, I needed to sort out some issues of my own, namely my bike.
I just left the bike here at BMW in Bangkok for a much needed service after weeks and weeks of smashing it on the expedition. I pick it up tomorrow morning.
Until then, it's time for some fun, courtesy of Derek at CM Wheels.
You ready for some fun today?
Yeah, what do you got planned?
Awesome. Well, we've got this. We got the BMW S1000RR.
This thing looks dangerous.
2 wheels, 4 men, and tons of power. It's a ride across Bangkok with my wheel-to-wheel partner, Alan Ng, TV series producer, Ed Bean, and Derek from CM Wheels.
First time I've ever ridden one of these. What a rush. What a rush. Behind the reins of that absolute rocket. God, I can't tell you how much fun that was.
Woo! Oh. Oh. All I can say is, oh my God, this thing's got some go-go.
I'm still trembling, my heart's going. That was just one of the best experiences.
Thank you so much. So how does someone get on one of these?
CM Wheels, cmwheels.com. It's all there.
The next morning, we started the 7-hour cross-country trip to Phuket. We passed a lot of villages and were often stunned by the scenery and rolling mountains. It made me think of what Derek had to say about this part of Thailand.
The thing about that stretch is there's a little bit of everything. I mean, and again, the roads in that stretch are fantastic. You have the ocean on your left and on your right, depending on the way that you go. You have mountains in between, so it's got a little bit of everything.
Once again, it was stinking hot and my mind started to wander, dreaming of mountain waterfalls.
From the very first time I started thinking about this expedition, I had this crazy idea in my head that I'd be able to pull off the road, take off my riding suit and dive into some random waterfall that would be as picturesque as this. What an incredible day. It was epic, absolutely epic, and everyone else dived in as well. It was a little chilly, but it was a nice break from the ride. So to me, that's really the heart and the spirit of what adventuring is all about, those spontaneous moments.
The famed Thai resort of Phuket was the end of the road for our families and the film crew. Saying goodbye to Lavina and Aria was hard, but the expedition must go on. And with that, it was down to just the 2 of us. 2 mates, 2 bikes, and the open roads of Southeast Asia.
Clearly it's a country that has done very well to develop over the last 20 or 30 years. It stands out amongst all of the other nations in Southeast Asia. It's never been colonised or conquered. Kingdom's in place. The king has a tremendous amount of respect still, and that really binds the country together and really has the capacity to continue to be a leader in Southeast Asia and a great role model for the other developing nations around it.
I couldn't help but reflect on all that I'd experienced with Bangurda. These kids face a lifelong health struggle and also the public's misplaced fear. It's a stigma that shouldn't exist. Hopefully in the future, people will come to understand rather than recoil.
Now, a couple of months into the expedition, Morgan rides towards his 7th country, Malaysia. Will he and Alan be able to keep up the pace? And how is Morgan going to deal with his first ocean crossing? Find out in the next episode of Wheel to Wheel. For more information, please visit wheel2wheel.tv.